Welcome to HR Intuitive Institute. We're here for lesson number 74, Protection and Resilience. So before we get into that, I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, an incredible Thanksgiving. And yeah, I'm here. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I feel like I'm in this mini fog just because this is probably the first couple of days that I've had scheduled off in a long time. And it's like anytime I have days off, my body definitely knows it. I don't know if that resonates with you at all, but my body definitely recognizes it and shifts me down a couple of gears and wants me to really embrace these times off. What do I want to talk about? Well, I guess that's all like my lady, a few words in our introduction this morning. So I guess we'll just take that as a sign that we should jump into our lesson. And I just remembered what I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure that I said, if you are new here and you're watching right now, please make sure you say hello in the chat so I can say hello to you. If you're watching a replay, say hello in the comments. I would love to come back and chat with you there as well. So I do this every week. You show up for me. I want to show up for you. And so let me know how I can be of service. Let me know, or just saying a friendly hello. But questions and comments and things that we can tackle in future episodes, all for it. All right, so let's talk about this week. So this week we're going to give gratitude for those who protect us, those who aid in establishing boundaries when we are unable to do so on our own. It is these people who empower us to say no and embrace less. They, therefore, are the ones that empower us to truly step into our power. This lesson is very important because these individuals that have shown up have been the number one reason that I am where I am today, who I am today. The level of authenticity and the work that I do that is genuine and the work that I love is because of these individuals being there for me. So I want to unpack this by statement that I put there. So the first statement that I give in defining who these people are that protect us is those who aid establishing boundaries when we are unable to do so on our own. If I were going to summarize this, these individuals give me the permission not to go, not to connect, and not to do. I know I'm not alone in this, that I have for a very long time, most of my life, functioned from being a people pleaser. You could probably even say that from being a child. Would I say that I was a really good child? No, but I really did function from a place that I wanted to please the people around me, please the teachers, the parents, the relatives, the family, the friends. And so, yes, I was a good student. I was a good child. I listened because I wanted to please. When I would get upset, I really was getting upset because I knew in certain circumstances when I was letting people down, and that was really disheartening to me. So, that is something I carried with me. And as I evolved into my HR profession and working with more people, and doing big box retail where you have sometimes 200 employees that you're trying to please, or even leadership teams of a dozen or more, that can take a huge toll and you're functioning from that place. And out of survival, I did start to see a separation of what I felt like I needed to do to please people and things that I had to create boundaries. I had to, or I wouldn't have survived. And I started to, and a lot of them were the black and white things. So I used an accountability system. I used, progressive discipline in HR really as my saving grace to establish boundaries on why I would not do something, or yes, I would do something. And so that's number one. I don't know if it's a cheat or not, but I relied on something that was out there to help me establish boundaries, because this people pleasing was hard. When these people showed up that I'm grateful for, who protect us, they are the ones who started to tell me and question why I felt like I needed to go at a moment's notice for just anybody. And that's something that I think is really important to put out there, is that I would do it for anybody, regardless of what my dynamic was with you, regardless of if you've ever shown up for me, I would always go. I would never turn down a opportunity for connection. In fact, it's embedded in my why, and it's had to be revisited because these people have challenged me to say, is it really important to connect to everyone, or connect with the people that you know that you can be of service with, connect with those who truly nourish and re-energize you, really questioning what opportunities of connection are directly associated with my why. And gave me permission to not do the things that I don't want to do. So I'm also very introverted by nature. I prefer small gatherings. I'm not a big fan of big crowds. And so I have the permission to not go. And that started with these individuals who still chose to be there for me and to care about me. And our relationship did not change if I articulated that I didn't want to go somewhere, if I didn't want to eat at a specific restaurant, if I didn't want to go to the bar, if I didn't want to go to a festival, or it didn't change. In fact, these people knew that that's what their relationship was with me, and filled in any voids that they needed by developing other relationships. So it is interesting how that naturally evolves. But these people are the ones who do give you the permission to not go when you're called, to not connect unless you feel that it's going to serve you, and to not do the things that you don't want to do. And I think that, we look at those and they're all, well, these are all just little things. These little things get magnified. And as you increase your vibration, as you continue to travel down your path and you live in alignment with your connected life, you're going to find that those little things add up. And then very quickly your days are filled with these little things that are all things that don't serve you and that you don't want to do. And that is the game changer right there. So the second sentence was, it is these people who empower us to say no and embrace less. So I say this all the time, but I want to take it one step further by saying these individuals give you the permission to change your mind and to establish a constant, consistent practice of reprioritization. So before these individuals, or without these individuals, I embraced a mindset of, if I committed to something, I had to carry it through. I could not change my mind. Despite the fact that I am a growing, evolving individual, I also heavily ingrained in me that when you commit, you follow through. This gets a little more complex when you're on a journey and you're awakening and you're evolving, because you want to be there, you want to be present. And I'm not saying let go of commitments and become unreliable, because that's certainly not what I'm talking about. You have to be able to sort through and decide what are commitments that you need to honor because it's within your own personal integrity and you would not walk away. And usually those I will carry through, but then also make a note that I'm not going to engage in that type of work again because it is not aligned with me anymore. So it gives me permission to say no to the next opportunity. There are other situations where, yes, you want to honor them, but they're not within alignment. And it just doesn't make sense to carry through. And it usually doesn't make sense from all places like it's a lose-lose across the board, because you've already decided that it's not of value to you. So you're going to limit the amount of value you're going to bring to the table. And so sometimes you have to leave. And these would be conversations that I would have in my head all the time. And what these individuals who protect us, they, once you articulate it, once you verbally share it in whatever fashion, they will say to you, you can leave, you can change your mind, you can say no. And they also give you that affirmation to say, and that doesn't make you this bad person. It doesn't make you this horrible person if you choose to change your mind. And I can say that after navigating this for a couple of years now, it doesn't make me a bad person. Will I say that every situation where I've had to change my mind has ended in puppy dogs and rainbows? No. Will I say that in every situation the people have been understanding and know where I'm coming from? Yes. Have I also been present in situations where I know people have changed their mind or should have changed their mind, yet they don't come through and just do that? Yes. And they actually naturally start to disengage, and it ruins that connection worse than if you are to be upfront about it. But these people are the ones that protect us, allow us to navigate these complex waters. And on top of that, I now have this consistent practice where I'm always questioning, what are my top priorities, and knowing that they can change. There was a visual exercise a long time ago that I saw with a keynote speaker at a conference, and it always resonated with me, and I can't remember who it was or exactly what it was that they shared, but the gist of it is that, we only have the capacity. Oh, I know who it was. It was Rory Vaden. We only have the capacity to focus on so many things at once. And in fact, when it comes to priority, yes, you have your top priorities, but there's usually one that you're charging at. So if you're an entrepreneur, you might be charging at being an entrepreneur. And then the other ones are put into a lower priority set. Doesn't mean they're not important, but everything can't have your devoted attention. And so when family is number one, then family is number one, and the others are separate or down a level, whatever, down a notch, whatever you want to say. And I think when he did it, he talked about water glasses and us being a pitcher of water, and we get to pour ourselves into these water glasses, and we can only give so much in each one. And so when you do think of something like starting a new business, it's natural to pour a lot more water in there. And then if something happens in a personal relationship and you want to take care of it, you'll pour more there, but then you can't give as much at work. And so it's always this ever-ending, changing game, and you get to pick every single day that you wake up. You get to pick and reprioritize every single day, and every single moment. And so I have this constant practice where now I am questioning, what is really important. I think 2 weeks ago, I changed my thought process about Fridays. Number one, shifting this down to 8 a.m. so that it's not smack in the middle of the time that I'm working with my girls, because they are still virtual for school due to the pandemic and their school being closed. And I realized when I was there trying to do all these other things for work that I was in entrepreneurial mode and not in mommy mode. And they waited all week to have their mom there, and to have their mom be with them. And so I literally verbalized it. And actually, too, because my business partner is somebody who does very much protect me. And I said I need to adjust my expectations. And Fridays are not a catch-up work day. Yes, I can put a meeting. Yes, I can do HRII. But at the end of the day, it is not always going to be, it's not to magically do everything that I didn't get to do all week. Fridays are for the girls. Last statement. they therefore are the ones that empower us to truly step into our power. So here's what's really cool about all of this. What these people really truly allow us to do is when you sort through and get rid of all of that crap that you don't want to do, that you know does not serve you, when you're able to give yourself permission to change your mind and reprioritize, to really always focus your energy on what will serve you best on that day, in that moment, you are slowly just strengthening more and more your path of alignment with your connected life. You're living your connected life with your heart journey, whatever you want to call it. I know I call it my heart journey. I use the words connected path because I feel that vibration within alignment is really important for us to put together. But that gets stronger because you remove less and less of the things that detract from what you know should be that path. And the whole idea of being able to change your mind and reprioritize is that we are human and we're still sorting through it. In fact, I believe most of us, because we never really, besides when we were really little and were able to dream about what we wanted to be when we grew up, somewhere along the lines, and I think mine was probably late high school to early college, we decide that we're going to go out to the world to be an adult and do whatever these adult things are, and it will be okay. And we have these expectations that we just have to find a way to take care of ourselves, which is true. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to have a place to live. We need to have money to live off of. But we don't really talk about this way that we show up where we can really have an impact on the world. There are people who do. There are people who, for whatever reason, their path does not get these detours. But if you're one like me who has had that detour, you have accumulated these kinds of practices. And so this person is amazing for you because they start to shift you back as you are sorting through. I mean, I think about it as, if you're doing like a garage sale, you're cleaning out the attic and the basement, and you're sorting through what's really you. And you have stuff that you're like, well, that was really expensive, so I should hold on to that. Oh, so-and-so really treasures that, so I should hold on to that. But at the end of the day, if you were to focus on what really is yours, that's what this whole journey is about. And these people, and two of which I will just flat out name, would be my best friend and my business partner, Mary Rose, and my husband, Josh. They wholeheartedly protect me. They wholeheartedly shove and push me and nudge me to continue my path. And that's the only reason that I'm in doing this right now, doing a live stream right now, talking about heart, having books that I've written. Without them, none of that would be possible. Without them serving in this protective capacity, it wouldn't happen. They create a level of safe space that allows us to freely explore who we are and what we hope to do. All right. So I want to share with you what's coming next week, because this was our final lesson in this kind of gratitude kind of segment. But before we get there, the one thing that I do want to share with you is that we are going through, as always, we're evolving and changing. And just as I'm talking about reprioritization and the ability to change my mind, and you know that this, if you've been watching from Work Love to HR Intuitive Institute, like, you've seen the evolution. HR Intuitive Institute, I wanted it to be an educational platform, and so I am creating that platform now. I didn't think that I would have the opportunity to do that because of all the other priorities that I had, so this was what I created in lieu of that. This is now going to be something that feeds into that. But with that being said, I don't want people to get confused when they see HRII, who will now be the umbrella. And this show we're going to call the HRart Rise Morning Show. So about rising your heart to your vibrational level, to living your connected path, which is what we've been doing. So a lot of what we've been doing, but it will be the HRart Rise Morning Show. So I just say that to you because you're going to see the rebranding change next week, and I want to make sure that you know that you're in the right place. So that's announcement number one. Number two, what is the theme for December? So December, we're only going to have 3 weeks of the HRart Rise Morning Show because I'm going to take off during the holidays because I should, and that's what's wise. And, during the holidays, one of the things that was very apparent to me last year for the first time going through the holidays after starting to study Chinese medicine is how much the heart carries during this season, which is totally natural. I mean, we're talking about a holiday that's in the middle of winter, which is a time to go inward. It's a time for heavy reflection. And so there's a heaviness emotionally to it, particularly around the heart, which holds some deep-rooted stuff for us. And so I really want to devote my energies in December, possibly even January, to looking at and exploring these things further. So we're going to kick off our theme next week. Here's what we're going to be covering. We are going to be covering, it's called lesson number 75, Sweeping Away the Past. In next week's lesson, we will center our hearts by letting go of the past. And so every week we're going to be focusing on centering our hearts. Being one with our heart. During this time when we are invited to turn inward, we are met with resistance due to the large amounts of suppressed grief. Grief not fully processed from loved ones that come and have gone, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. If we can let go of this emotion and move forward, we have an opportunity for true transformation. One of my biggest takeaways from traditional Chinese medicine is watching these emotions of grief and anger, and particularly grief more so than anything. I don't think I realized how much I carry and how much many others carry. In fact, when I do treatments, I spend a lot of time on the lungs, and I just thought that was because I was trying to be very thorough, or that I was just still practicing and learning. But what I've come to realize is that it's because a lot of us carry that grief on our lungs. And we have that emotion and that sadness. So that is the yin organ that's associated with grief in Chinese medicine, is the lungs. And they do believe that if you don't process it, it can materialize into physical energetic manifestations, respiratory issues of any kind of sort. So it was interesting for me to correlate, and we'll talk about this more next week, but when I was diagnosed with asthma and what was happening in my life. And so these things are grossly connected. And people that I come in contact in life, and looking at where they are, and just the hand motions when people grab their chest when they're emotional and they're sad, that grief that's there. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the past and the way it can hold on. And when we choose to not let go of the emotion, not let go of the people, but not let go of the emotion of grief, it really puts us in a stagnated state. So that's what we will be talking about next week. Yes, the topics in December are going to be heavy, but they also are going to be ones that if you open your heart and you receive, you could truly, truly transform. This is where the really deep work occurs. And this is why winter is one of my, I think, is becoming my favorite season, because it is the time where we can do this work. All right. So that's all I got for you this week. I will see you next week on Friday at 8 a.m. for the HRart Rise Morning Show. I cannot wait to share all the new branding with you so you can see all that. And we'll be talking about sweeping away the past. So have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, I'll talk to you next week.